Welcome and welcome back to The Whole Bucket. Today is, as you can see, Zebra Talks week 5, and it's late. And I apologize because it's days late, not just a little time, right? So it happens, and we'll move on. So far in Zebra Talks, we've been talking about very personal, very internal sorts of things. Kind of, my thought is I need to get my feet on the ground about myself first and then kind of move out from there. So today is our first foray into bridging between ourselves and the world around us when living with chronic illness or chronic condition. When being a zebra, on the unique side of health conditions. So today's question is, what is seen and what is not? Now, what that means is not what do you see personally, because we covered a bunch of that stuff earlier, right? But now it's like, what does the world see and what don't they see? Because some zebra conditions are very visible. Very visible. If you are someone who is missing body parts, I can look at you and I can see that. And okay, I might not know that all the things that affects in life and how it affects, but at least I have some sort of understanding that, something's a little different. If you're someone who has a heart condition, you might look perfectly fine on the outside, right? But maybe you can only walk 10 feet and then you might fall over. I wouldn't know that by looking at you, right? So think about your own condition and what is probably, you can't reason for other people, right? But what is outwardly noticeable and what is kind of hidden stuff that people might not realize what's going on. The list I'm going to make for myself today is hopefully, as always, going to help you think through things and help you figure out how the world might perceive you or what they might perceive and maybe what they don't. For me, I'm just doing it to kind of get my head around stuff, like I've said too many times. I'm repeating too much. But oh, okay, my thought just went completely away, which, by the way, is one of the things people don't really see is the brain fog business. Boy, you might see the effects of it, but you don't see what's going on in here because it gets a bit ridiculous, doesn't it? For you brain fog people like me, it's... Anyhow, this is not going to be an exhaustive list because I think you could go on and on for a really long time, depending on what your given particulars are. So I'm not going to do an exhaustive list. What I want to do is get my head around the concepts of how I perceive myself in the world and how it differs from how other people may perceive me in the world. So let's get started on that. So I have to put my glasses on because I can't see what I'm doing. And we're going to shift cameras so you guys can see what's going on the book. We are going to do Zentangle again to switch my brain off from real life and into zebra tangling, or Zebra Talks. Zebra Tangle. Rawr. Okay. I'm going to put some glue on my prompt, and I think I'm going to stick it way down in the corner today. There we go. And I think to get started, I will show you just the starting point for this tangle in case you want to do it with me, and then you can follow along. And then as soon as I get the basics done, we'll start talking about seen and not seen. So for this tangle, I'm actually going to flip my book upside down because this is the way I do it better. But I'm going to start right at my paper. You can start at any spot you want, and I'm going to make a curve outward that ends in a curl. Oh, okay. And then I'm going to start kind of up from the base of that, and I'm going to do it again in the opposite direction. Out and curl in and make a curly Q. And then I'm going to do it again. When I do this, I like to end with a smaller one. I don't know if that's Zentangle protocol. It's just what I do. So I ended up with a couple smaller ones actually. And then, okay. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to go down. So I want to put some width on the branch of this. Pretend this is a branch of a fern, or this one's actually called feather something, I think. So this is actually going to end up scroll feather something. Anyways, I want some width of this segment of this fern or feather. So I'm going to start down here, and I'm going to come through the coil underneath, and I'm going to meet up with the edge. Good grief, not having a good time with words today, am I? This is why I am not a certified Zentangle teacher, because I don't know all the terms, and I can't even talk properly. Okay, so now I want to thicken this one, and you do the same thing. Go to the intersection of the ones below it, and curve up through the curly Q, and join up there. Same thing with this one right here. I'm going to go to the intersection of the two below it and curve through the spiral. Ha! Found the word finally. And meet up with that line on the big curve. Do the same thing for this one right here. Go down to the intersection of the two below it. Go through the spiral. And for the very, okay, so for this one, I'm going to go down to the base and curve up, right? And for this one over here, I'm going to go do the same thing. Start at the base, and it's going to end up being super skinny. That is the base for this tangle, scroll feather, something like that. I'm not really sure. And the next part of it is just filling in those spaces with some lines. So I'm just going to start at the wide part of this section and come up to the point, following the curve that I've already set in there. Only a couple are going to fit in there, but in this one there's more are going to fit, right? So follow that line and all of them come up to the point. When you're trying this for the first time, remember that Zentangle isn't about, getting everything perfect. As you can see, mine is kind of a big fat mess, partly because I'm just using a regular Bic ballpoint pen, partly because I've got this cardboard underneath that's making my pen go all jaggedy and jump around a little bit. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So just don't expect perfection and just relax. It's all about relaxing and turning your brain off for a little while to give it a break. All right, so I am going to continue adding lines, and you'll see what the next design element is in this. And I don't even have to stop to describe it, I don't think. It's pretty self-explanatory. Okay, so we're talking about zebra nests, and what do people see and what do they not see? So for me, first of all, people can see when my legs don't work properly because they're not really attached as well as they should be, and sometimes they don't follow orders. So sometimes my body will turn one direction and my legs will turn a different direction, and you know, that's not really great. That's not really great. So I'll go off balance for no reason, or tip over for no reason, or just the goofiest stuff, right? That's one thing people can for sure see. Another thing that people can see when it happens is that I easily get injured, because when your body parts twist their own way instead of the way that you'd like them to, you know, injuries happen fairly fairly often. I was thinking of a different word, but I can't find it. What people see is the stuff like that's happening to me through every video I've done so far, and this one is no different. I do these videos with no script and with, well, some script. Okay, some script. But I mean, it's not verbatim, right? And with no editing. And part of that is because I haven't learned how yet. Part of it is also because my intent is to show what really happens, right? So part of what you see is that I lose words, I lose sentences, I lose trains of thought really easy. And that doesn't always happen to me. But when it does, people notice. People notice. I've been called terrible names because of it. And there is a common assumption often that I'm just not that bright. I got that a lot, especially when I was in high school. I got, I had a particular boyfriend who was not a monogamous relationship or anything, just more of a casual boyfriend. And his other girlfriend was considered the smart one, and I was considered the pretty one. I'm not sure what I thought about that. I mean, okay, I'll be the pretty one, but I'm not so dumb. Anyway, it was funny. So that is something that people can see. What you can't see about that very same thing, though, is what's actually going on in my brain. So they call it brain fog, and it really is. I'm sure it's different for different people, right? But it is described in a very common way between many people who have the problem. And what it's like is when you have something on the tip of your tongue and it's right there, only it's up here. And you know it's there somewhere. It is actually very much like fog, because it's almost there, but you just can't quite see it. So if I am in a train of thought and I am trying to express a particular thing, all of a sudden the fog can just blow over that whole thing and cloud it, and I can't see it anymore. Often it is completely gone and it's not going to come back for a while. Sometimes I can just, backtrack my brain a little bit and wait a second or two and it will come back. Never can really tell which way that's going to go. What else can people see and not see? I did talk last week, and we're going to talk again next week, about mental health. And I did talk about how I have PTSD and major depressive disorder, and it's kind of out of control at the moment. Not bad out of control, but I'm struggling. I'm on the struggle bus a little bit with the depression thing. People can't see chronic depression. You can't see mental illness. Although sometimes mental illness is quite obvious. There are severe mental illnesses that cause, the reality check problems and the seeing things and hearing things, and I don't know. PTSD, I know, can do some of that stuff, but I had a friend who thought his dog was going to eat him, and he wasn't joking, and it was sad. That was one of the first indicators that something was going seriously wrong with our friend, because he was not joking. So you can see those kinds of things. And if you have a friend who's going through that kind of stuff, make sure you pay attention. But my kind of stuff, you can't always see. I try to keep a positive attitude regardless of what my brain is doing, what it's trying to do. So I will have a happy attitude and a positive attitude almost no matter what. And I might be totally depressed inside. That might seem a little weird to a bunch of people, but I don't think that's weird to other people who have depressive disorders. Your brain wants to try to drag you down, and it's really hard to feel motivated or satisfaction in anything or worth of anything, right? But I don't think I'm alone in trying to not fall to that, right? Okay, so people aren't going to see that kind of stuff for you or for me or for anybody. I also did talk about, however, that I don't think my depressive disorder or PTSD are really part of my zebrahood, so I'm not really sure where to put those in the scheme of this particular journal. I have had some thoughts about it, and maybe I'll share those with you. If we have time today, even, maybe. But for now, I think I will start writing some things down, because I think I got my head around some stuff. So what do people see? Limping, tripping. I often, if you're a person who ever saw I Love Lucy shows, she would get herself into all kinds of trouble, like the conveyor belt with the chocolates when she couldn't package chocolates fast enough, Well, what happens when you can't do stuff fast enough? She started shoving them in her mouth and in her hat and down her shirt, and you know, you do whatever you can. I often think that I look like an I Love Lucy show. Because I'm just doing things whatever way I can. And I would imagine that sometimes it's pretty funny. Because limping and tripping and falling and being lopsided and not keeping up with speed and all that kind of stuff is not particularly funny, but it has to look kind of funny. And the coping skills that some of us put in place probably look funny. So, yeah, I think I look like an I Love Lucy show a lot of times. I also apparently make a lot of noises. So I am quite vocal. So that's not what people see, but it is what people hear. So I'm just going to put ow and ooh and oops. I think people see and hear that a lot from me. Okay. What else do people see? Or what do they not see? So if people see me limping or tripping, right, they don't see that my leg went a different way. Than the rest of me. I'm going to leave it at that for me because I'm going to understand what that means. But in depth, the reason this is important is because that's what's going on with most of my body all of the time. I don't know about EDS and pain levels for most people. I know the people that I know who have EDS are in pain a lot of the time, one way or another. I know that I manage pain pretty well. I handle it pretty well. But the truth is, I am never not in pain. So I think that's true for a lot of us. And so my leg went a different way than the rest of my body, and I tripped a little bit, and it was kind of funny at the moment, right? But when your arms and your legs and your hands and your toes and your thumbs, oh, my thumbs are bad. My thumbs are very bad. They don't behave. And your guts, right? Your insides are not staying where they should. When all that stuff is going on, your body is constantly fighting everything you do. People don't see that. Another thing people don't see that I know I have, and I think it's fairly common in EDS, but I don't know. So if you know, give some feedback. But I have exercise intolerance. I don't remember how to spell exercise. Exercise. I don't. Okay, I just made it up. Exercise intolerance. Now I don't know how to spell intolerance either. Does it have two L's? That doesn't look right. Intolerance. Well, anyway, whatever. I'm not going to stress about it right now. I'm usually kind of a grammar and spelling Nazi kind of person. Shouldn't use that terminology, should I? But if my brain's not functioning and I got to keep moving because I'm filming, I'm just going to not stress. So, sorry about the spelling. So I have exercise intolerance. Pretty severe for me. In fact, I would say this is my most severe symptom. Because if I do too much in any given day, I can sleep for up to 3 days or about up to 3 days to recover. So what that looks like for me, and what people don't know, is that I have to pace myself and do things at a very even keel. Try doing this. If I keep things at a really even keel, physically speaking and emotionally speaking and health maintenance speaking, which is pretty darn tricky, I can stay feeling good. I can stay functioning at a minimal acceptable level for quite a long time, right? The problem is life doesn't really cooperate with that. So if I'm going to have a day where I go out, the best thing for me to do is to go out and, spend the whole day out, running around, doing errands, having fun, whatever I can think of. Because either way, I'm going to pay for it. And there is no telling how long or short the paying for it part will be. But if I go up and down, then I'm just constantly paying for it. Then I just don't function. My brain won't work. I can't concentrate. I can't hold complete thoughts. If I just have a blowout blast for an entire day, then I sleep for 3 days, and then I recover. So what do I mean by sleep for 3 days? So here's how I qualify a crash period. If I sleep more than 9 hours at a time, with windows of 2 hours or less where I can stay awake in between, I call that a crash time. And that can last for, like I said, like up to 3 days. In fact, it's usually 3 days. But I will sleep more than 9 hours, yes. Because 9 hours, I think, you slept in a little bit. It's fine. That's very normal for some people. It's a little above average, but whatever. It's not a big deal. But I have been known to sleep for 14, 15, 16 hours at a time. And I will wake up and I will try to function. I'm like, okay, get your butt up. You got to kick this, right? It's not that I don't try. I will get up. I'll try to have some coffee, or I'll try to eat a light meal, or I will just try to get some energy or adrenaline going. I'll try to get an activity that I like. Whatever I can do to try to engage, to try to engage my body and brain. If there is no way and nothing I can do to pull myself back together, I have to lay back down and I'm out like a light and I sleep another 15 hours, that's a crash. Yeah, I have crashed. So people don't see that. And I have gotten a lot of pushback. Why don't you leave your house? Why don't you go out and do that? Why don't you come out some night? It can't hurt you to go out one night. Yeah, it does. Yeah, I can't. I have to do every single thing I can now to keep my life flat. Not easy. And it hasn't always been like this. Exercise intolerance started from what I recall in junior high. I would skip school, not very often, only every once in a great while to stay in bed because I was just so tired, right, to sleep. Not exactly an exciting reason to skip school. In high school, I could go for a month or so of going to school every day, and then I would just be so tired. I would sleep for an entire weekend, but not like what I just described, but I'd be like, lazy, hanging out with friends still, but kind of out of it. And then I'd probably miss some school. It felt very flu-like back then. When I was raising kids and trying to hold jobs and stuff, it was very much the same. I could go for a certain length of time before the crash would happen, but I would inevitably catch something, completely crash. I won't get into the long history, but it did get seriously bad and scary in my early 30s. And then the discovery of sleep apnea kind of gave me a little bit back, right? And now it's like what I just described to you. If I get off kilter, I'm gone. I'm gone, baby, gone. And people don't know that. And I get a lot of pushback for that one. I need to understand that that is critically important for me to have in the front of my head. I need to learn that it's okay to say no. And if people don't understand why I'm saying no, then I don't know what to tell them. I don't know. That's such a hard one. It's such a hard one. This video is already getting kind of long. And I don't think that I'm done. What else can people see and not see? And I'm going to do another feather. That's not right. I don't know what I'm doing there. Yeah, I don't know what I've done. I don't know what I've done here. I'm gonna just make that go like that. And then I don't even know where this would have a, oh, here, I'll just go like this. They're both to the inside. I don't know how this one grew, but this is a different kind of feather apparently. No mistakes in Zentangle, just happy accidents. So I have a happy accident there. Okay, so what do people see and what do they not see? They don't see that my leg went in a different direction than the rest of me. They don't see that, you can't see exercise intolerance, and it is hard to understand. It is hard for people who don't know what it is to understand it. But if you have ever been that level of exhausted, you know what it is. If you haven't been this level of exhausted, you still know what exhausted is, right? Because, you know, if you live, you've probably overdone it now and then, and you know what exhaustion is. Just imagine that completely out of control. If you have experienced this, leave a note on how you deal with it in the description. Let me know what you do, and let me know what kind of pushback you get, or do you have people understanding in your life about that? Because how priceless is that? If you do have other people who understand that, yeah, that must be a blessing. But let me know how they relate to that. What else? I get off on tangents, don't I? I get off on tangents, and then I can't think of what else I want to write down. Part of the problem doing videos with little to no script and no editing. But it is an honest exercise, so, you know, give and take. What do people see? You know what else people see is I go to the doctor a lot. I'm in the hospital a lot. So people see lots of medical care and maybe not understand why. Okay, so I'm going to put this in a box. This is like one thing of what people see and don't see of this particular item. Exercise intolerance is going to go in a box of its own. People don't see exercise intolerance, but what do they see? They might see that I've disappeared. I think I did it again. Put in 2 letters where there's only one. Okay, I'm apparently happy letter dittoing today. They also might see that I get confused easy. You know what's funny? At least I think it's funny. I used to, I don't know why I never got caught. I don't know why I never got caught, but my last job, I would go to lunch in my truck if I could, and I would take naps in there. When it was my break time, I would go into the handicapped bathroom and lock the door, and I would take a nap in there. Yeah. And then it was at an elementary school, and I would have to sit down and read to kids, and I fell asleep more than once while reading to children in the classroom. It got so bad at the end. I was just so sick. I was so sick trying to keep up with life, trying to be a successful horse. When I'm not a horse, I'm a zebra. Yep. I was trying so hard to be a successful horse. It wasn't working. It wasn't working. All right. Anyway, whatever. People see lots of medical care. Oh, you know what people don't see about lots of medical care? All the flippin' bills. That's the last thing I'm going to talk about today. So, this just gives you some ideas about how to think about what people see on the outside, what they might not see at all. Like, people don't see my high blood pressure. They might assume because I'm fat too, but, you know, I only had high blood pressure the last year or so. They don't see, you can't see pain. So if I'm putting on my happy face, you don't know that. You don't know that. Remember that you can't always see those kinds of things. People don't see the medical bills. This is putting me on my high horse lately, and I wish that I had more energy because I want to get politically involved. Or legally involved, or I want to get involved in the prices of healthcare. Because I think about, so premiums are taken out of my disability for Medicare. And then I pay premiums for my insurance that covers some of what Medicare doesn't cover. And then you still have to pay deductibles and co-pays and co-insurance, which I haven't figured out what the heck that one is. And some things are only covered by percentage, and all of that stuff keeps going up. All of those different departments that I pay into keep going up. And I am not alone. I know that people in the United States are experiencing that left, right, and center. That the cost of medical is going up like crazy. Like, I don't even remember what EpiPens are now, but I can't be without one. And there are people who need one way more urgently than I do. I've always been lucky that my reactions have been fairly slow and I have time to react nicely. That's not true for everybody. And EpiPens are, what, $800 now, I think? I don't understand. Anyway, look at me. On my high horse, I get a little adrenalized about the cost of medical care. Anyway, I'll try to pull myself together. So here is, sorry, was that spinning cool or no? That's kind of dizzy making. So now I did it twice. I apologize. Here is our Zentangle for today. It is a feathery kind of thing. It is a scroll kind of thing. When we get to a certain point, I'm going to show you how to put these designs that we've been learning together. I'm going to show you things of like how to shade these so you make them look super dimensional. I personally think it's super cool, but I'm really easy to impress. You'll have to see what you think. But if you think you can't art, oh yes you can. Oh yes you can. This is good for your brain, good for your spirit. So I keep saying that. I think I've said that every week so far, but I really want to encourage you to follow along with this part as well as this part. All right. Thank you for tuning in. I will see you next week. Again, sorry this was late. It's going to happen now and then. I will do my best to keep it to a minimum. Again, comment below. Share your experiences, and I will react to everything as soon as I can. I promise that I'm reading stuff, and I promise that I will get back to you. All right. Till next time. See you. Bye.